When we first arrived here, we were trying to think of a name for the property. The property didn't have a name, and we were wandering around out here before this was all garden, and out in this front paddock where the Pinot is, it used to be where we used to cut hay, and it was just full of magpies, always full of magpies, and they're always fighting their little tribal wars. And then when we were walking up and down the creek, we found that it had springs in it, so hence we called it Magpie Springs. Up here on the hill we've got Semillon, and we've predominantly got that growing on the south side of the hill here, so that it doesn't ripen too quickly, and it's kept fairly cool all through summer. It's a very exposed site up there, and it cops the southerlies, and they just keep it shutting down early in the afternoon, and the soils there are very shallow. And you've just got a lot of ironstone and clay there. And we found that the wine is really intense. It's nearly dry grown again. This is our Pinot. It's about 5 acres of Pinot we got here. We started out with a very small patch because I really wanted it, and a lot of people didn't want Pinot in those days, but it's been a favourite wine of ours. So we started growing it, and it just has taken off. Well, this is our first cellar here. We were running out of places to keep our wine, so we got a backhoe in and just dug a big hole in the ground. As you can see, the clay is endless here, and it's a perfect cellar. It stays slightly moist, and it retains 18 degrees all year round. Cool grapes, intense wines. And it all comes out of it in the Shiraz. You get it all the time. And it's faces south, so it cops a fair bit of caning in the summer and the winter. And these are completely dry grown now. Haven't had water for 3 years, and they're loving it. What we're doing here is one of the more pleasurable parts. Every week or so, between the winemaker and myself, we check the wine to make sure it's still progressing as it should be. It's a very involved process now of taking some wine out, putting it into the glass, and having a little bit of a taste test. Colour's great. Colour is absolutely beautiful. It's just got some lovely purple hues. Yes, and the nose. The nose is what Pinot is all about. The aroma is fantastic. A lot of maraschino cherry here, so I think it's going to be a stunner. Too good to waste.
I tend to be inspired by the way light falls on shapes, the contrast between the shadowed areas and the very well lit areas. And it can be a flower, it can be rocks, waves on the beach, a variety of things, patterns in bark, a bird in flight. It doesn't really matter. And the subject matter varies enormously because I spend quite a bit of time away from home, doing artist in residencies or running workshops in different parts of the country. So the subject matter around me at the time when I'm away is often extremely inspirational. And of course, living on a vineyard, there's plenty of subject matter right at my door. I particularly like to paint during the autumn in the vineyards, both at home and in the surrounding area. There's just an amazing amount of colour, which is a lot more exciting to me than, for instance, a springtime, pretty much green painting. The colours of autumn appeal to me, and most people, I think, a lot more than the bright lettucey green of spring. Also, the different varieties of grapes tend to have slightly different colourings, and where I am here we have quite a number of European trees around us as well, which also adds to the variety. And I like the way the wind blows through the vines and close-up studies of the vines. My work often features the ends of a row close up rather than distant panoramic views. Sometimes it is dictated by the subject matter. Some things I feel would be represented in oil better than watercolour and vice versa. But at other times I have a spate of painting in watercolour, and then I get sick of that and decide to switch into mixed media, do some more experimental work. Varies a lot, but I use most things. I draw a lot, I use collage, various mixed media techniques, pastel, acrylic, but probably oil and watercolour would be the ones I predominantly use. A lot of my painting is, as I've mentioned earlier, done while I'm away from home. Most years I take a group to the Flinders painting, sometimes a couple of times a year. Can be anything from 4 or 5 people to 15 or so. And sometimes I run workshops while I'm up there for those that are interested. The Flinders has the most astonishing colour, shape, variety. There's just endless subject matter, and it draws you back time and time again. Different seasons, it's completely different depending on whether there's been rain or you're in the midst of a drought. The colour can be completely different.
We're the last vineyard in the Adelaide Hills on the most southwestern area, and just at the top of the hill there it goes in, drops into the Flurio. So we're still very much cool climate. We're at 1300 feet, and we have the continental sea breeze coming in at 3:30 every afternoon from the mouth of the Murray, and it shuts us down even in the middle of summer, which makes for some really nice long cool growing days. Pick the grapes here on the property. They're transported just into the shed here, and Reg brings his bag press in and we press on site, so the grapes aren't actually travelling any distance, so they're not getting damaged at all, and we can pick the right time of day to do this. And resident dye will be here banging away on the press for as long as it takes until the grapes are all pressed.
It's just a blessing to be able to make wine hands-on instead of, for years, I made wine for a big company called Haart's, and spent most of my time behind a computer, making wine behind a computer, which was which loses a bit of the romance, I guess, of what we're doing now. It's been quite exciting, the development of the business. Yeah, we fellowship pretty much with our clientele and wine and dine, so it's been a lot of pleasure involved in amongst the business.
Oh, the work is rewarding. It's excellent, without a doubt. I think it doesn't matter what things you do in agriculture when you're growing things. It involves your hands and watching them grow and battling with nature or living with nature. It's just a very fulfilling thing. I mean, it has its despairing moments, I'll tell you that, but when it all comes together, it's great. And when it doesn't, well, you always look forward to next year. And I think it's just one of the most wonderful occupations you could actually have. It'd be nice if we were all rich on it though, but apart from that, it's an excellent way to spend a day.